I'm recording now, so whenever you want to record on Audacity, let me know, and then we'll get going.
Alrighty. Am I doing a countdown here? Give me in
No, you can
charge of
just
the
go. It's
countdown.
just when
Okay.
it's just two of us, it's pretty easy to find when you start and I go. So,
It's going.
okay, I'm about to go. Actually, let me move more in the middle. There we
I'll
go.
do the eyes.
Yeah. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a Geek First review. I I don't know. I have no I have a nickname, but I forgot the character's name. So I'm the number one fanboy of that bug. That's the of the beetle, whatever that can roll. Tug Tug, I think his name was.
Tuck tuck.
Tuck Tuck, love that guy. I'm the
There you
Tuck
go.
Tuck number one fanboy, and I'm joined by
I am the Dragon Slayer, Kirkland Patzer.
much better than mine. Well, I was gonna go with the Last Dragon. I was like, and then
Yeah.
I didn't think it through. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. So, ladies and gentlemen, as always, just head down in the description below. You can find everything we do: our podio feeds, our podcast feeds, our video feeds, our YouTube feeds, our Twitch feeds, our website, how to support us on Patreon. You get ad-free, exclusive, early episodes all the time, every month. Tons of stuff popping off. Very soon, we're gonna be starting our Harry Potter retro on Patreon. That's gonna be lots of fun. That's gonna be starting in April. And right now, you get Justice League commentary track, BVS, Man of Steel retro, Captain America of the 90s retro. Soon, we're going to do our Mortal Kombat 2 commentary track. So, we just got tons of stuff. So, go over there. And if you like what we do, please give us a nice 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. If you don't like, it's fine. You can just, tweet at us and we'll take that. But we are going to review Raya, the Last Dragon, right? Raya, that's how
I
it's
thought it
said.
was Raya, and then in the movie, I'm pretty sure they pronounce her name Raya.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna trip over that my entire life until I watch it a few more times. But Raya, the Last Dragon. So as always, we'll give our just overall thoughts, and then if you want to get into spoilers, because obviously this is something where some people might not even have the opportunity to see it if you don't have your theaters open. So you might think, is this worth the price of admission? So that's where you can listen to our non-spoilers opening here, and then we'll give you the warning. We'll get an ad break, and then you'll get right into spoilers. So if you've seen it, stick with us. If not, that's your time to bounce out. So Kirkland Patzer, why did you watch this movie and did you enjoy it? Because I was surprised that you were, because we all like Disney and Pixar and stuff like that, but you as we got closer, you're like, oh yeah, I'm getting everything like that. So why did this appeal for you? And then what did you think of the movie?
Yeah, so originally when I saw the trailer, I just thought that was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Just definitely on my type, like on my vibe of movies. I really like the animation style. I love like the world that they're showing off just in that first trailer that I saw. But then I think I heard about like the premiere access price. I'm like, $35. I think I could afford to just wait a little bit for that
Mm-hmm.
one. But then Shay Shay was really watching those trailers a couple more times. She's like, oh, we're getting this. We're getting this no matter what. So even if I wasn't reviewing it, I would have saw it for sure. Just
Yeah.
because she really wanted to see it. And yeah, I had, I don't know, I don't want to say like super high expectations just because like what we saw of the world in the trailer, it really reminded me of like Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'm not sure if you've seen that show, but
No, but
I
I know I've seen
yeah.
like a few clips of it to kind of get the vibe of it.
Yeah, so I definitely got vibes of that. And Shay and I, like, she's watching through it again right now. Like, we've both probably seen it like 2 or 3 times. So this is
Mm-hmm.
definitely like our type of movie. And man, I absolutely loved it. I
Mm-hmm.
thought it was so well done. I love the world that they gave us. I thought they did a really good job at like filling in like the backstory or like filling in the cracks of the world and the lore. I thought they did a really good job with that. And I really enjoyed it. I totally got my money's worth out of it. I highly recommend it if you're a fan of something like the Avatar: The Last Airbender. I thought like something in that world is they have like different tribes, and that
Mm-hmm.
definitely was like mirrored in this movie. It seemed, and there's just so many similarities. And I love the animation. I thought the score was phenomenal. I thought it went really good with pretty much all the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, I really like the characters that we got. I didn't know like it, I think it's Vietnam is like the area of the world and like that type of lore that they're taking it from. Again, take it with a grain of salt. It's not like
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah.
not a real. There's not actually dragons, or anything like that. But I believe that's like the area of the world. It's either that or Thailand. I should probably I'll look it up while you're talking because I don't want to get that wrong. But
No.
I love this movie, and yeah, I've already recommended it to so many different people, and yeah,
Yeah, no, I when you have kids and there's new stuff coming on Disney Plus, you're usually gonna be watching some anyways. But once you're watching, it's like okay, I can find a reason to watch this, and then we'll do this review and everything like that. And yeah, well, I won't say like I was surprisingly like enjoyed it quite a bit, but I guess just because when you don't plan on seeing a movie, it's not really on your radar, right? And I planned on seeing this at some point, but I just didn't know when. I think this is one definitely in the theaters I probably even would have saw because like the theater experience as far as with probably just Gwen. Logan's not old enough, but yeah, I really enjoy it as well. I think one thing that's really good because this is just a pure Disney one, right? It's not a Disney Pixar one.
yeah, just
Yeah.
Disney.
So to me, this reminded me of a lot of Zootopia in the sense of nothing the same as far as plot or characters or world or anything like that. But the way it reminded me is I remember the first time I watched Zootopia was just and I think we talked about this in Golden Geeks years ago when we nominated it for best film was like just the world building aspect was the second you got dropped down the Zootopia, you knew everything, even though it was new to you, but you just saw like everything worked, everything you saw what they did with like the cops and obviously we got the sloths, but just everything felt living and breathing and thought out. It wasn't just like, oh yeah, this is a world with animals, and that was just kind of
Yeah,
like, oh, it's just animals, right? And you might say it is just animals, but no, it's just like their little quirks, their little tweaks, and that's what this was. Where I don't know what's going to happen to it in the future because the unfortunate thing is like with box office premiere access, I don't know if we'll get to find out those results. And with box office, it's lower, but that's because many aren't open. So I don't know if they'll ever feel the need to do more with this. But this was a movie that the second it was over, I was like, the way they've announced like the Monsters Inc. show and stuff like that, like I could take a bunch more properties in this world. Not even if it's about Raya, just like all the other characters or the lore or stuff
yeah,
like that. I think they did such a good job of the world building of okay, you get in there first 5 10 minutes, you're learning everything. It's like and it has an opening similar to like almost like Black Panther where it has like an
yeah. I
art
was thinking
style
that
and a
too.
story. I guess that was a minor spoiler, but it's only the first 2 minutes and it's literally just kind of setting the world up and tells you who everyone is, kind of the magic, the lore and stuff like that. And that I think was the biggest strength of the movie was just right away they have a lot going on in this world, but I think they do a really good job of carrying it across and some unique stuff. There's some like tropes that we've seen before, like you and I talked about like Ghost of Tsushima. Like there's tons of like classic
Totally.
like Last Samurai sort of kind of tropes. There's that trope like I won't get into it too much, but there's a trope of like getting people together. There's a trope of looking for something, kind of being a loner and stuff like that. So kind of those like samurai western tropes, but they all work here. And I don't think it's something Disney's done too much. Like I don't think I can think of other than Mulan anything in that type of ilk or whatnot. And this is what I said to Kirk. I said the second I was watching this, like, oh, I just want to get back and Ghost of Tsushima because the fight scenes, and this is nothing. I'm not going to spoil any fight scenes, but the action, the choreography was really, really good. I was actually kind of surprised of like, I guess I could have known that by looking at it, but it's just kind of like, okay, you have a movie like Shrek that has like lots of fighting, but there's no like really great choreography. Like there's some scenes where like, okay, the dragon chase them real well, but it's more about the jokes and whatnot, right? Where I thought this one might just be more about the dragons or like the fun adventure of the friends. But when they got fight scenes going on, they as the kids say slap. They do a really good job with like whether they're hand to hand sword combat, like they feel really, really well done. And that's where it's like, oh, I want to get in Ghost of Tsushima again. You were right about the score. The score was really good, especially I have a few things to shout out when it kind of changes pace. But the score I really, really enjoyed. I think and I liked all the characters. We'll get into them, but like I think they all had different quirks and whatnot. I liked the kind of MacGuffin that they have to go after this movie. I think the only thing that didn't work for me sometimes was some of the humor. And I was
Yeah,
talking about this with Emily, where she felt like sometimes it was aimed a bit more just directly at kids, which
right.
I think Disney and Pixar like they usually do a good job of not doing that sometimes they do slip. And there's just some and Taylor's probably listening to this review and he knows how much I hates this, but like I don't like when current day lingo is
Oh
used
yeah,
in past movies. I do not like that. That's a big thing with me in Star Wars when people say certain words and in the books, like we just reviewed two Star Wars books and recently they would say some things where I'm like, I've never heard anyone Star Wars say that before and it feels too much like this world. So that's the only time where sometimes the humor didn't hit for me. So I prefer the movie that not that I want it to be like just dark and gloomy and like, some real samurai movie, but I think there's sometimes where it's like, okay, this feels very much for kids, especially like that's kind of what Aquafina does. She's very like comedic,
yeah,
but there was times where her character's very loud and rambunctious and just saying things. And a minor spoiler, she like rhymes sometime, which she says it's rhyming, but it's more like a rap in my opinion. Like I know they're the same, but like just the vibe it was, and I was like, I don't know. And like using a word like bling, I was like, okay, but other than that, I really, really enjoyed the movie. It's definitely one I'm excited to watch again. And like I
Yeah.
said, that's the biggest compliment I give it. That if there was more in this world, I would easily consume it, and I want to watch more of it. So
No, totally. Yeah, just talking about like the humor that you were mentioning, I definitely agree with you there. There's a few points that I was like noting and I'm like, oh, like this isn't the first humor thing that hasn't hit with me.
yeah.
And then like more like, you know, two or three after that, I was starting to be like, oh geez, yeah. It's kind of get me out just for that humor side. Another con I had was uh yeah, I guess I'll save that for spoiler, but like just certain plot things just really didn't work for me kind of fairly early in the movie, like the whole motive on what gets us going on this adventure.
Okay.
I just felt it was a little sloppy. Again, I'll talk more about it in spoilers, but
Yeah.
just mentioning Aquafina though, I actually really liked her as the role of the
Hmm.
dragon. I thought it worked really good. Like you mentioned, she kind of has like a very uh like I don't know what the best word to describe it.
Excitable character. But
Excitable,
she's very
yeah.
out loud. She's very out
Very,
like
yeah.
rambunctious.
And
Like
like
she's the wild
as
card.
soon as she spoke, I'm like, "Okay, who is this?" And Shay actually was like, "Oh, it's Aquafina for sure." Like she
Hmm.
just knew it right away, just because she has a very memorable voice.
Oh
But I
yeah.
thought she did a really, really good job with the Sisu character, the dragon.
Hmm.
Um, I thought I don't know. I feel like a lot of just her mannerisms were working for me a lot more as opposed to like you mentioned, like maybe certain modern humor uh lines that she would throw out there or when she's rhyming or
Hmm.
something like that. But overall, I absolutely loved. I mean, I already talked about the world and the it build, but I just love like the character design of it. Like every character, you mentioned you really like the characters, so do I. But I just felt like they all looked very unique from each other, and they did a really good job at establishing like someone from a different tribe or wherever they are. Like they look very different, they behave very differently. I thought that was really well done. I thought the character like costume design, again, it's animated animation, so it's kind of funny like thinking of it that way, but
Yeah.
the costume design was so cool. I thought it was really unique, a lot of vibrant colors,
Hmm.
as well as like the different weapon and gadget designs. I'll
Oh
mention a
yeah.
couple more in the spoilers, but they're just really, really cool. And like you mentioned, it totally was like, oh, I just want to like play Ghost or something, because there's similar types of gadgets that I feel like I've used in that type of game that they had in this. So there's just so much to consume, and I was just so happy with it. And
Hmm.
yeah, I don't think I have too much more non spoilers.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. So if you have not seen it, stop now and then come back. If you have, we're about to get in spoilers after this ad break, which helps support and keep the network and the podcast GV going. So we'll be right back in a few seconds. And we're back. So now we're in spoilers. So this isn't even the biggest spoiler, and I could have mentioned this non-spoiler, but yeah, when you're talking about weapons, Raya's sword, badass. That
Oh
thing's great. The
yeah,
second her dad pulled it out, I was like, oh yeah, that's some cool ass shit. That it's this cool just looking sword, but then it like detaches to become like this like claw or just like almost like a scorpion, like
yeah.
the what comes from his hand. So that was cool. Like you said, all the weapons were cool, but like that was the first issue was like, okay, yeah, I like this.
Yeah, I really like that one, and um like that was probably the coolest one in the whole movie. But I really liked how whether it was like a someone from Fang or like even Spine. Again, Spine
Hmm.
was like the more like Mongolian type soldier. Again, we it was only like one guy that we saw from there, but it was just like very like brutish, almost like a barbarian, just like big axe. Whereas if you go to Fang, which was the cat people, they like very sleek and like
Yeah.
curvy blades and stuff like that. And then I just thought they did a really good job at distinguishing like the different tribes and kind of like what they were. And I love their each individual city. I thought the
Hmm.
designs were so cool. It wasn't just like, you know, a very similar looking city. Like they're all very
City with
unique.
a different color. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think my favorite one was probably Talon. That was the one where it had like the vibrant colors. That's where the baby and the monkeys
I
were
was gonna
from.
say that'd probably be mine too.
Yeah, it was almost like a Mardi Gras type feel. It
Yeah.
was just like very vibrant, and everyone was dressed like in just very pop and like pinks and purple colors.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that goes in the world design, like you were saying. Every area, every place we went to, like even when we go from just Raya's home country or city, wherever it is, and then to when she's in the desert on Tut Tut there, just rolling around and
Yeah,
everything, like it felt like a distinct shift. But yeah, like the the different tribes or clans or whatnot, like that was really interesting because they were definitely, I think, in the, not saying it was over the head, but definitely in a subtle way. I feel like this movie was made in a way of like, if you look at the political landscape in America, as far as like movie was to me a lot mirroring that, as far as like you have these, to me, different parties that are so divided, but the whole movie is like, how can we try to find a way to come together? Like we may not agree on everything, but we're stronger together than we are, we're weaker apart. So I should have spoke about it a little bit in non-spoilers, but I didn't want to like spoil it too much. But I feel like that's a little bit what they're maybe going for as far as, and I liked all that because it made sense. I think there were times where maybe they went that well a little too many times, but I liked the concept, and I think they did it pretty well. Of especially Raya trying to, like, how do you trust? They gave her a good reason not to trust somebody, right? Like I liked
Yeah.
that when they came, like all the different tribes came there, they were very open. They were trying to go away. I like that it wasn't just like, I hate you because you're another part of the clan. Like it was, one, okay, you're part of a different tribe, but then two, you also like turn your back on my father. You set him up. He's a stone now. So they gave her like that personal reason too. And I think they
Yeah.
all had these reasons. And I think I actually liked that dynamic of all these tribes trying to figure out, like, all they want is magic and they want to, kind of be strong, but they don't really realize, at least till the end, that to be stronger is to be all together. And I think they did a good job of
Mm.
that. Especially, I know I'm jumping to the end, but I really liked that like finale of putting it back together, like the dragon gem or whatever. I thought that
Mm-hmm.
was really well done, and I like that Rhea she was not like the character to do it. I love
Right.
that, like our antagonist, sort of, like it's very colors of gray, but she like makes that pitch of like, well, we're not going to trust each other, and I'm going to have to be the first one who takes a step. And she literally gives the gem, and like in her like life, maybe like pretty much just killing herself because she doesn't know if she's going to come back from this, right? So she
No,
like
exactly.
steps in, and then they all follow her. But I like that because, and lots of times you'll get like, she'll say that, and the villain, our antagonist, will be like, okay, well, I better trust you, and then she gets that big moment. But I like that it flipped, that this character that started off by betraying our main character got to have that moment. So I think they did, for the majority part of all this, trying to trusting each other, bringing countries together, clans together, stuff like that. I think that was really well done.
Yeah, I know. I 100% agree with you on that ending. I thought that was so well done. It was totally different from what I was expecting because, like you
Mm-hmm.
just mentioned, like the easy version is just build up our character, our main character Raya, the whole movie, and then she gets the big moment at the end. But I thought it was really really smart of them to like how else can you get the rest of your team to trust you as opposed to like you are the one that kind of offs yourself first and then
Yeah.
does that sacrifice. And I thought that was such a like a powerful moment for pretty much all the characters there. In the end they all kind of get a moment of like reluctantly being like, oh well, like I wasn't gonna do it, but Raya trusted it so much that she sacrificed herself first. I thought that was really good. And then even right at the end, Namira, she like for an instant, she like grabs the gems and is like sees the light like at the end of the
Yeah,
tunnel,
I'm
like,
out of
oh
here.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm out
yeah.
of here, and then kind of like double checks herself. I thought that was really really good. And just since we're talking about the plot, the major con I had that I was mentioning non spoilers was like the whole and like I get that we're supposed to understand that Raya's dad, I forget his name. She just called him Ba, or
Yeah,
just her dad. He was just really trying to show like we have to be the ones that like show that we're
yeah. Your
we're
hoodie string
trusting.
went crazy there.
It was bouncing all over the place. Um, like I get that they're trying to show that he's trying to lead by example and being like the only way for us
Hmm.
to bring oh I forget what the world is called. It's like commer yeah,
Yeah, I
I'm
know what you mean, but
gonna
like
butcher it.
there was like a almost like a there was a name for having all the tribes together living in harmony in a
Yeah,
way. Yeah, and they used to be like that, but then they split apart
like the
because this.
Pangea world that they had
Yeah,
before.
yeah, yeah. They but because of power, they split apart and couldn't trust together and all
Yeah,
this
so
stuff.
so I understand all that part. I just felt like having Namira come in and like them instantly never like they never met each other in their entire lives, and then they just, oh hey, here's my gem. You want to go see the most important object in my entire like city that we've been trying to like protect for like the last 500 years. I thought that was kind of eye rolly in my opinion. I think, and again, I understand that we need some way to get this like this adventure slash story going in the first place. Like how else do we get
Yeah.
to the end without this moment. But I felt like even if they were just like maybe like past friends that knew each other before, maybe they were like, I don't know. I didn't like how they like just met and then like within 10-15 minutes she's like, you want to go see like the dragon jewel, like the most important thing that like basically my city's only purpose is to protect this gem. I don't know. I didn't like that, but as the movie progressed, I definitely I like let me rephrase that. Like once I got to the ending, I was more satisfied with it. I was like,
Hmm.
okay, I think like I I think the start of the journey and the reason why it was going on was a little bit lazy in my eyes, or maybe it was just imperfect. I don't know. I can't really think of a better version right now, but
Yeah.
um yeah, and then like even throughout the movie, I just kept thinking like I feel like everyone wants the dragons back. Like why aren't they just working together? And
No
as the movie
trust.
no,
They couldn't
exactly.
trust
And
each other
as
anymore.
the movie went on and we got to that end moment where they were really trying to stress how important trusting was, I was like, okay, I'm happy with it. I felt resolved. But throughout the movie, I was a little I don't know, angsty on how where we were going plot wise, but the end definitely resolved it really really well in my eyes.
See, I could see that because I think that I wish, I think for the better results, what they could have done is have them all meet the tribes together and maybe them all be there for a few weeks and then her show them that
Yeah.
stone, because like it was a little quick, and especially when they would fight again later in the movie, they would refer to each other like they were really like good friends.
Yeah, and
And
it was like
like it
maybe an
was,
hour tops. Like
yeah, it wasn't like and like and this is where Emily said I was wrong, but the way I read it, the reason she showed that stone, and that's why like I think in the older movie this would have happened. I feel like they were not trying to make them as friends. I feel like they were trying to go for like a sort of Raylo sort of situation, as far as they kind of had a crush on each other. That's the way I
yeah.
took it, just because like I know they're just kids, but she like they grabbed each other's hands, and then she was just very like her eyes locked her right away. And the other girl, what was the antagonist girl's name? It was Vanita, right? Or
Namira?
was it Namira? Oh, her mother was Vadina.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. But no, Manira, yeah. Like just the way they like locked eyes, she looked at her. Now you could take that as, oh, she's trying to get the stone. But I think in an older movie they would have had them as like teenagers, and then that's why, because it's like, oh, I might have a crush on this person. But with this, if you're just going the friends route, you need them to like bond a little more. And I get it, because like maybe they just should emphasize that maybe there wasn't that many kids where she was, so she was kind of lonely in that
yeah.
aspect. But it's like we saw other kids around. We saw like, so it was just kind of weird of like, hey, like here's this. Like I agree with you. It was, that was rushed. I like what I think they made the relationship better overall. I was like you were saying, kind of as we went along, because I think they had good chemistry. I think they had good writing. But that beginning was a little like, okay, we just got to get on the adventure, don't we? We gotta.
Yeah.
But even then, like I said, they could have just had them at least there for even a weekend, like
Totally.
even if they're there for a weekend, and then the girl's like, oh, I'm leaving tomorrow and blah blah, and then that's where she wants to show her something. But like
Exactly. Yeah.
all it takes is like a montage of just a couple days and nights of having more fun, because it is just like she knows how. And it's, here's the other thing too, if you didn't get that training scene at the beginning, which I really liked, I love that, you won't set a foot in this circle, and she gets like the little toe, and that's perfect. Like the right when he was rocking that mask, that's when I also got the Ghost of Tsushima. I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh yeah, here we go.
Definitely.
But that was like, again, that's when I clicked in. It's like, oh, this choreography is really well done. So it's like if the training scene didn't happen, and she's just like a full on kind of naive, dumb kid, like she knows that there's this thing there, but she doesn't know how valuable it is. But it's like if she's literally training to be someone that's going to protect this, I feel like she would kind of know. So I think they either could have done two things, as far as like made it go longer, or emphasize, in my opinion, what I think they were maybe subtly hinting at, is like maybe there was a romantic attraction there, because then it's like, oh well, people are in love, they do dumb stuff. But I'll agree with you that it was like they just had to get on the journey, but they could
Yeah.
have done a little better.
No, and like what you laid out, I think is a solve right there. Like if I was watching, your version, the Travis
Yeah.
Snell
Oh
version,
yeah.
I I think I would have just believed like her reasoning for being so open in that moment. And again, she's going off her father being like we should really be the ones that are all trusting. So maybe she's like really trying to do that. But I just felt like it was way too rushed. Like really from the time that she met her Namira,
Mm-hmm.
and like that must have been at least couple hours like
Couple
max.
hours.
Yeah, and
a dinner time. That's
Yeah, like
about
I
it.
think
Yeah.
the runtime, yeah, the runtime was an hour 47 minutes. So
Mhm.
maybe they thought like having a scene like that would just be a little too long. I
I
don't
think
know, but
3 more minutes wouldn't have been that bad.
exactly.
Just to get
Okay.
you to an hour 50, it's like, yeah, like I don't think it would have been that bad,
Yeah,
so
exactly. But and like touching upon like the relationship thing there, I 100% agree with you. I think there definitely was some sort of romantic
yeah.
feeling that at least that's what I was getting on screen.
But it's Disney, so they can't go too far, right? They're like, we
No,
don't get this movie banned in
but
China, so we
but
can't do that.
I really really liked their dynamic,
Hmm.
but I felt like it could have just been that much better if we got a moment, like what you just laid out. Like maybe they had a fun time, like just playing, having fun together, and then they're just laying under the stars. That's where she gives her the jewel. It's like you want to see something, and then they go off and do it. Like I felt like that would just be such a cleaner and better like opening to this adventure. But
Yeah.
again,
Or
beggars can't be
even if
choosers, I
they
guess.
had just like this was not the first time they had met, this whole
Yeah,
meeting thing, like, oh, it's you again, because like I said, when
totally.
the whole thing happens, and like to me justifiably, Raya's not going to trust this girl because she led to, at this time, like, okay, we hope if we get the dragons and the magic back we can bring everyone back, but if we don't, her dad's essentially dead, right? All it takes is for one fucking horse to run over, knock over this this
I was
statue
thinking
of the
about that.
dad, and it's over, right? So it's just like, in a sense, she's pretty much killed your dad, unless something by a big chance it goes around, and it does. But that's where it's like she's justifiable. But that's where it's like I don't think they talked ever again. But when they like, when do you think? What was the time? Because they never gets time jump. Do you think how long? How many years do you think it was from the opening? Which I liked
It's
the
it said
opening. I like.
it
Oh,
said
did
the
it say
amount of
I
years.
missed it?
It said 6 years.
Oh, okay. I completely missed that. That's how it means you have kids. But like, so you have that opening, which I really liked because I was wondering. I always think there's a good balance of like when you do the. It wasn't a prequel flashback because it stars her as young, but she was doing the whole narrative like, oh, like things were this way until I came along, and then she gives you the whole story, right? So I thought that was the right amount because I think it was maybe like I don't know 20, 25 minutes of like you got the relationship with her people there, her father, the lore, everything. So I thought that was just the right amount of perfect. Like you could add a little bit more to that story we're talking about, but as far as the other stuff, that was perfect. But
Totally.
then yeah, they don't. I'm assuming they didn't speak much in that 6 years. Maybe they bumped into one another in other like fights or something, but they just talk like they're a lot friends than longer. But it's like a minor my nitpick, but then they saved it at the end. Because luckily they explained how the gem actually works. Because everyone just thought like if you had the gem, it just works, and it has some magic. But then like they reveal like, oh, again, like we talked about earlier about the trust, like you have to trust each other with it, and that's how it'll work. But the whole time I was like, this makes zero sense. Like they had the gem already together. Like why did it not like do anything? And luckily, good story. They explained it, but the whole movie I was like, oh, I'm so bringing this up in the review. Like the gen was together and it had
Yeah.
like it wouldn't fix anything. And then like the
Totally.
last 20 minutes, they're like, it's trust, and it's like, okay, so yeah, you got me there. But
No, it's
yeah.
it's funny that you're talking about like you had Grimes with it, and then right at the end it kind of fixed it, and that's how I
Hmm.
was feeling on just like the motivation of like the different tribe, like let's say a tribe from Fang, Namir's people, like they were just like, oh, we're gonna take over the world and we're gonna get the dragon gem, but like I
Yeah.
really felt throughout the movie Namira just loved dragons, and like we see a lot of like just emotional moments with her, like when they go through that field of all like the dragon statues. I thought that was like a really
Hmm.
cool scene. Just like throughout the movie they just showed like the affection and like love that the people and just respect that they have for the dragon. So multiple times I'm like, why would they not just like guys, I have a dragon right here, like let's just work
Yeah.
together and like stop the Druze. But so I was kind of having grimes with that until like the very end. It had a really good like character just resolve situation with Namira
Yeah.
after she shoots CC or Sisu, not CC.
Sisu. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I I I just loved all that stuff. It was just major internal conflicts with Namir and her mom, and
Hmm.
like her duty to her people, as well as like what she knew was right or what she thought was right with the dragons and all that stuff. And I absolutely loved the first time that Namir like saw Sisu. Like she just like totally like she just saw a
Oh yeah.
god, basically, like tears in her eyes, just totally flabbergasted. I thought all that stuff was so good. And again, like I was saying, like by the end of the movie, I was okay with the whole Namira just trying to basically murdering Sisu. Again, it was like human version. She didn't actually know it was her, but there's so many times in the movie I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, why would they not just be like stop. We have Sisu right here. Like, come on, this is not who you're looking for. But again, I yeah, I just feel like there's multiple times for plot reasons we were doing things that I felt was a little lazy. I felt like it could have been just
Mm.
explained or done a little bit more. But overall, I was really, really happy with the whole story.
Well, yeah, and I think other than the world building, that was the strength of the movie was like Namira and Raya because like they have
Raya.
Raya. Fuck, I'm gonna do it to the end of time, but no, like I think that was strength because like you see them both. Like with Manira, it was great because when we first meet her as a little kid, she did seem like she's just gonna be generic, really bad guy. You know, like even when we
Yeah.
meet her later on, she's like, okay, you're gonna be the antagonist that wants the stones and stuff like that. But like you talked about, we slowly say, okay, the relationship with her mother, she's not really doing it in the sense of power. She just wants best for the people. She does respect and love these dragons. So she has like all these other motivations, and then eventually she turns the corner. And even when she like shoots like sushi, like or Susie, is that what was it?
Sisu.
Sisu, Shushi. When she
That is a
shoots
tongue
her,
twister.
they do a good.
Weird.
Yeah, it is. Say that 3 times fast. They did a good job of like Raya doing like the last minute. Like, would she have really shot her if she didn't take that swipe? And that's where it's like she's struggling the whole time, but it's at the beginning of the scene where it looks like okay, no, she is just bad. So I think they did a good job of like way she's going back and forth. And like I love that moment where Raya walks up. Like I love when they decide they're gonna kill each other. But like, they've this had enough, and obviously it
Oh
doesn't
yeah.
happen. But like so she's shot the dragon. I'm just gonna say dragon. She or Aquafina. She shot Aquafina, but it was kind of because if you didn't watch the movie, you're just listening for shits and giggles. Their idea is they've gone. We'll talk about the other characters too, but they've gotten all the gems. What happens is I guess we didn't even say this at the beginning of the movie. The father wants to kind of break bread with all the tribes and bring them all together. All of them are there pretty much just to steal the gem that they have, which is whole. And then what happens is they get in a fight over it, and then they break the gems, and all the tribes take a piece. So, and luckily, not one little piece like broke off somewhere, and it's just they would have screwed. Imagine that they trust each.
Smeagol like character has it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
hard.
Luckily, they all trust each other, but they still died because like someone had like a pebble of the version. So, no. So, and then they had these. Do you remember what the monsters were called that would turn them into stones? They're
The
D
Drew.
the Drew, right? So
Yeah.
there was this like magical evil force that would kind of go around, and they like looked like they're almost like horses. Like they had legs of them, but then they had these like almost amiibo type of shapes. Like
Yeah.
all they're pretty cool. They're like just very generic, just evil force. Like okay, they're gonna take over and turn you into stone
Like
and
the
whatnot.
the monster from Lost.
Yes, very much. Just like, okay, this is something bad. Run from it. Like, okay, so that'll happen. So that all these tribes have a piece of stone, and then what they decide is to get them, and the only way to make this work with the last piece that the what's the tribe called? The Vlan. What was it? Vlane.
Fang.
Fang. Thank you. Yeah, they got to just build some trust there, and that was a good scene too because it wasn't they didn't just all put it on Manera as far as oh she's screwed up and she's the one that shot Aquafina and stuff like that. It was like she pulls out her it looks like there's gonna be a trusting relationship there. She pulls out her bow, asks her to give it. The dragon comes back up and she's talking about trust because the whole time the dragon's saying like there's this great moment where Raya and her get caught. And then who's the guy that Benedict Wong plays? He's like the big axe guy we talked about earlier. But anyways,
Yeah, I forget his name, but
yeah, he's the
he's the
guy.
guy from Spine.
Yeah, yeah, he's the guy that like classic tale of like lost his entire family. He's kind of like a little nutso now because he's just been like alone for years and everything like
Yeah.
that. But um, so he at one point captures them and he's like, "You're here for stones, aren't you?" And then Raya's like, "No, why would you say that?" And then he's like, "Oh, this would make me say that." And then she goes like, "Yeah, that would probably be it." And then Raya, and then the dragon goes like, "No, it's probably because you lied to him." And that's the whole movie where Raya thinks that lying or kind of taking the easier route as far as doing it herself is the route to go. Where the whole time Aquafina is saying like, "No, like you have to. If you don't even give them a chance to trust you, they're never gonna trust you." So and it
Yeah.
makes sense because Raya should be locked off because last time she trusts somebody, she lost her dad and many of her country people, right? So it's like it makes sense both ways. So in that conversation when Manir is thinking like, will I shoot this dragon? Will I not? And then Rhea jumps the gun and makes her shoot her. It completely like is great for both their motivations and their characters. So I think they did a good job of like I joke with Emily, but it was really like a Raylo situation as far as like the bouncing off one another of like every action has a reaction. And then there was like Raya's our main character, but there's been a few times where she's done questionable things. It makes sense why she's done those things, but it's just like if she wouldn't have jumped the gun, there would have been no problems at all. Obviously, everything ended up okay. They kind of rip off Endgame with everyone's been gone for years and then they all come back. So I was watching, I was like,
100%.
It was just Endgame. It literally
I
wasn't because they have the exact same scenes coming back. People are like, you've aged. Like it was that, but it was well done. So it's like, okay, fair enough.
I completely thought of that too when it did the 6 year time jump. I'm like, oh, I bet they didn't want to do 5 year because they're
Yeah, yeah,
like maybe they
exactly.
had 5 year. They're like, wait a minute, I've seen this movie already.
They're just sitting in the theater at the Disney screen, like, shit, ours was gonna be
um,
5 years.
but yeah, I'm really glad that they didn't just make like one person the clear villain in this. It was
Yes.
like everyone had internal demons that they're kind of battling. Like even Raya, who's supposed to be like the defender of the world, like her purpose is, at least it seems like on paper, like the most honorable out of everyone. She's trying to bring the whole world together and like save
Hmm.
everyone with the crystal. But like you
Just a
just
clear
mentioned,
cut good guy at
yeah,
first.
no,
Yeah.
exactly. But like you just mentioned, and it happens throughout their adventure, like throughout their different stops and stuff. She does certain things that just are a little like ambiguous on like the morality scale. It's like I don't think that's the like what a good person would necessarily do. Like you just
Yeah.
mentioned when she's like, I think he didn't trust you because you lied to him, or like like, and then you had Sisu that was just like kept calling her out on it, and when she was offering. Like she's like, let's just go give them a gift. Like, how can you expect them to give us something if we don't give it to them? And she's like, no, we just got to take it. Like, you don't understand people. And there's so many moments like that. And then again, it made it really satisfying when we got to the end, and then it was Raya that was finally kind of listening to what Sisu had to say, and it took Sisu dying for her to kind of get through it. But then again, she kind of did what Sisu did. She kind of went out for in order for the rest of the team to kind of make the proper decision, and everyone
Mm.
trust each other. And then, and like you mentioned, it's funny. I laugh so hard when like every piece just like fit, to make a perfect sphere. Like, yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, yeah. That stuff we're like, okay. But like I forgot where I was going with that whole thing, but what I wanted to say is like that scene, I have lots of favorite scenes, but that scene when they did decide they're gonna kill each other, because like
Oh
Sisu gets
yeah.
shot down, and I love that she runs, she's gone, and Raya's like starting to like get upset and everything, but the score, the way it changed into this like
Oh yeah.
intense like samurai music, oh here we go. And then you just have Raya walking through their country or whatever, their town, with the sword down, cape, everything like that. Just that's her only goal, because and that's where I think it was good to show her, as far as at first, like you said, she is the hero. She's just doing good, but it almost seems like she almost has like a complex of like, I am not better than everybody, but it's just like, you have to do exactly what I say,
Yeah.
because this is the only way to do it. And again, because her origins, it makes sense, but there's all this like chaos going on around here, and she's not helping at all, which I like. Later on in this fight, she does eventually realize like, hey, there's bigger things happening here than just me and her, to quote Spider-Man 2 with James Franco and Tobey Maguire. But like when she's walking up to like the temple, and then you go up and you see Rhaenyra, and it's her mom's been like stone frozen and everything like that. So it's like they're both blaming one another, and she just looks at her and just like, we're gonna do this finally, aren't we? And like, yeah, and they just turn like, in this moment, like, oh, they're here to kill one another, and it was just
Yeah.
so good. And then like I said, they both kind of realize like, why are we even doing this? Like she sees these little kids about to almost get like the stone force. It's like, this makes no sense. And Raya breaks out of it, and then eventually she does too. But such a good scene. That was really well
No,
done.
yeah, that was so well done. You mentioned the score. I love it because like she's like stomping through like the courtyard, on her way to the mirror to go just fuck her up,
Yeah, yeah,
decapitate her if she can. Um, and like her steps are just so like forceful, and I might be remembering it incorrectly, but like I swear, like it was just like the beat, or like it was like a build up, like up to the fight. It was like bump, 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 and then
yeah,
like it's like going with her steps. And I'm like, holy shit! Like this is the final battle, at least it seemed. And yeah, visually as well, I love like the shots that we got of when they were fighting. Like it kind of like zoomed out a bit, and then it had like the whole throne room with like just like kind of dust and like really really good visuals. I absolutely love that scene. That was probably one of my favorite scenes of the whole movie, but
yeah.
so well
No,
done.
that to me was just like that. Like the whole movie had stakes, but that was just like, oh shit moment, here we go. And then you had all
Yeah.
these side characters, which I liked all the side characters. I really liked the squad here, especially at one point, like Bennett Wong's character literally just says like, I think I'd seen in the trailer when he said, but like, oh, I'm gonna join this fellowship of butt kickery. But it was just like, yeah, like this is like a little mini Lord of the Rings. Like I liked when we met the little sailor boy, and we kept meeting
Boom.
characters, and we kept like collecting them, I was like, yeah, because sometimes that happens in movies, and I'll go, I really don't want like all these characters. I just want to focus on this. But I didn't have that. The second we started recruiting people, I was like, hell yeah, like I like that we're getting a squad together, everything like that. And I had only seen
Totally.
the one trailer, and that was it. But like I liked all of them. Like the kid, I really liked the guy. I really liked for Benedict Wong because he started off as this like, I'm gonna torture you. It's gonna take 2 weeks to clean up what you're gonna do. And Ray's just like, you just have no idea what you're gonna do. He's like, no, I know exactly. It's gonna be gruesome. Like I liked his little, and I liked just a good like his little origin as far as he's this messed up guy. He's alone, but then they do like that little shot to the crib where it's just like, oh, clearly he's lost some people, so that's where he is. And
Totally.
then the baby was such like a it's very kiddish, the baby part, but like I guess it just ended up working for me because it was at first I thought it was some sort of disguise because when she said, "Oh, you use your baby charm," I thought it was literally someone using some sort of like fake charm as being a baby, but no, it's a baby that has these three monkeys, everything like that, just like conning people and getting up to stuff and like people and like because of COVID, you guys haven't been around under that much, but like that is like Logan's personality, just this like little troublemaker, but then like turns really sweet. Like that's Logan. So when we were watching this movie the whole time, we just kept looking over like, oh yeah,
That's
that's
so
definitely
funny.
you. But yeah, so I loved, and then like I said, Tut Tut. Oh man, that character, and I was so like, he started small, so like even when they went on their little mission to get in the beginning where he's like little and she's like getting him to set off the booby traps. But then
Yeah.
when I saw him rolling like in the distance, I was like, oh, this is cool. And then when they close, I'm like, oh my god, that's him. He's all grown up, and he wasn't in the movie that much, but like I loved him. I love when you can get like a good sidekick like that and not feel they didn't use him too much. They used him just right. He had cute moments, he had heroic moments, and oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely gonna be a stuffy or something in my house soon because that was I loved Tut Tut
No,
so
I
much.
I loved him as well. I again same thing with like when I saw him after like the flashback when he's like big and she's just rolling on him like that's totally him, isn't
Oh
it? And then
yeah.
sure enough his little head popped up. It just he was such a cute character and like you mentioned he had moments that were actually like really useful.
Hmm.
Whether he was like taking out some bad guys, but then there's a lot of moments when he's like trying to get food or something. I felt like 100% of him being on screen worked for me.
Yeah.
I love that, and Shay loved him as well. Like he was just such a adorable type character that doesn't even say words. It's just I love when you have those types of characters though, and yeah, just for the rest of the squad too. I thought they did a really good job at incorporating like someone from each like tribe, I guess you'd
Hmm.
call it. And like sometimes it can feel so cheesy. It's like, oh, we arrived here, let's find our new guy that they're gonna get from this town.
Yeah.
But like I didn't even clue in that they like had someone from the place that was Talon because it was like the monkeys and the baby, because it's just it worked so well.
Hmm.
Um I felt like the one that I was gonna like the least was like the big brute guy because I just felt like he was just gonna be the classic like dumb guy who kind
Generic.
of
Yeah.
has some humorous moments and is just like big brawn. But like you mentioned when they showed like his whole village is basically just gone, and then when they showed the crib and it was just like really like emotional type notes.
I think I've lost Kirkland. Where are you, sir? Back.
Hey, there you go.
I don't know what happened. You froze for a second, and I was talking, and then you didn't hear me. Also, I'm like, "Oh, that's not good." And then you froze, and then it was gone.
Well,
But
your face was like this. You're like it's like
he's
you're really
really
like
listening.
intently listening.
Yeah,
So I just kept
yeah.
going, and then I like said something, and you were just still like
But
that. I'm
but
like,
no, I agree with you because I was worried. Like, is he just gonna be the generic big
yeah,
dude? You know, like, is that the route we're gonna go down? And no, we didn't. I think they, and I think that's a good thing. Like, they all got their moment, but none of them felt like they were like overbearing of the story either. Like, it still felt like it was very much like Raya's story and everything. So,
yeah.
or Raya's story. Fuck. But
And I felt like having like the pairing with him and that baby was something really special because like we saw that he must have lost someone that was
yeah,
around that age of her, and they're like just their chemistry. I don't think they had too many moments together, but from what we had on screen with them, it was great. And I love the monkeys too. Like
yeah.
I feel like I just loved the whole crew. Captain Boone, he was so hilarious. I loved him as just like the charmer. Like, you know, he's just so charismatic, like running his ship and doing all these things, making deals, and just everyone like worked really well for me. So
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's he also had some lines too when he was doing some stuff cooking that I liked, but it was a little like, oh, this feels like stuff you're saying in our present day. But I did like
Right.
when the baby and the monkey just completely took over the ship and they were just destroying everything. And same thing, he gets a little origin story. Like, yeah, he's been on his own this whole time because like he lost his complete family too, and
Hmm.
some sad stuff. But
And like that
yeah.
moment on the boat when they're like basically giving the flowers like to the river. That's when
Hmm.
he's like kind of explaining that he lost his family, and then he has that little moment with Sisu, and just really really good because like there wasn't just one character that was all comedy. I felt like they did
Yeah.
everyone justice and just fleshed them out more, which you wouldn't normally get when you have an ensemble of this size. I'm not saying it's a whole Avengers squad or something like that,
Hmm.
but still, like it's a decent size for introducing them in a movie as well as fleshing them out and having them like a satisfying ending. I thought they did a really good job with that.
Hmm. I will check, but I don't know if I have too many more spoiler notes that we haven't tackled. Like I said, I talked about already, like kind of had the end game ending there, but I like that. It's fun. You get to see all the families reunite, and then at the end they get the big happy ending where they're all together now and they're gonna try to work out and everything like that. And like I said, I liked those kind of the magical monsters. I think they worked as a good foil. I liked with the stone and doing all this stuff, and I like the chemistry that Raya did have with Sisu, and I think that all worked out well. Like I think the majority, like I said, any humor I didn't like was just stuff that felt like present day. I liked all the situational stuff. I liked when she turned back in the human, everything. I liked when she was found out about credit and she was trying to pull that off, and just because I was that was another moment where I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, how's this gonna happen? And it
Yeah.
didn't because they all like the whole townspeople were like, no, we don't even know you. You can't just take this stuff. But she's like, oh, I think that's how it works. And then there was a trap too from that lady because like the second she's like, oh, come with me, and she said the stones or the gems part's like, oh no. So, but yeah, I don't think I have too many normals. Is there anything specifically you wanted to touch upon?
Um. Oh, I loved. I kind of mentioned it on in the non spoilers, but I love like the summarizing of past events and
Yeah.
when they would do like like a flashback type dream sequence, like you mentioned. The first one that we had was very like Black Panther reminiscent of
Mm-hmm.
having like a different animation, but they had a different animation like any time that they would go to those
Yeah.
flashbacks, and like the animation throughout this entire movie was so well done, but I love that like 2D type effect that they had. It was just really really cool, very beautiful, and I'm kind of an animation knob or snob.
I'm a not. Yeah. No.
So I,
No.
I I love all that.
Well, no, and I agree with you, and I think they stand out too because if they're just the same animation, it's like okay, that can still be good, but then those stand out as one a different style, and it gives it like a whimsical style. Again, with the Ghost
Yeah.
of Tsushima thing, it reminds me of when we get those stories about certain samurais, and they're like done in the paper scrawls and stuff, and then like the
Yeah.
drawings of it, where it's like those as sort of side missions stand out to me the most because like the person would start telling the story, and then I'd see these new cinematics or pictures, like oh, and that's the same with these, where all of these stuck out these like retellings because it's like it feels whimsical. It feels like a story. It feels like most of this is true, but some could be embellished and stuff like that. And it stands out too, just look wise. The second it changes, you kind of take notice. You go, okay, so no, I agree. That was a good point. I did quite enjoy all those animation switches.
No, totally. And then oh, let's see. I had a note and I totally lost it.
Oh,
Oh
it's
no.
taken from him like a stone, like a gem. Oh yeah, it was so funny because we were watching this with Gwen, and I at one point I called them rubies, and she goes, "No, Dad, they're dragon gems. They're not rubies." I go, "You're right, they're gems." So,
Yeah,
uh,
I guess I already said all my notes. So
well, I'll give my score and final thoughts first because just in case if you remember it or you think about it, then you can go. But I will give this movie a 9 out of 10. I think we're probably gonna, it's a lighter year. Hopefully not, but still, I think we'll get still less movies. But even then, I think it's a good strong contender. I guess I could say it's my favorite movie of the year so far, but we're only 3 months in. But still, it's always good to have that barometer of like, okay, I know what number one is now. What could beat that? Because like definitely wasn't what have we watched? Definitely wasn't the little things which I watched on HBO Max. Well, it's tough. I always gotta find the barometers like what counts as like the movie like there's like a movie and the Messiah with Daniel Kaluuya and stuff like that, but it's like it's one of these where technically for me it came out this year, but it was technically a 2020 movie because they released it in a few theaters to get the Oscars. So it's one of those of like where do I rank it? I don't know because if that was this year, I'd put that at number one. But even then, like I think from score, from visuals, from some like characters and whatnot, I think we will see this in Golden Geeks next year. At least I think everyone else will quite like it that watches
yeah.
it, except maybe Jessica. She hated Soul, so you never know about her. But I
Well,
like
especially once it
definitely
gets like free, right? And then
yeah.
they'll be yeah, okay.
But for me, definitely like the biggest ones I think are going to be score and visuals. I think for me, and who knows, maybe a scene here or two there, but like the score really stood to me, and I really enjoyed it. This is one I'm definitely going to watch again. I'm actually pretty excited to watch it again, and I think it's I'd have to look, and I know we've always talked about this, and we might do this one time on an after nine or something. But as far as like my Disney ones, it's definitely higher up there. It's harder with Disney because like they have so many. But when I think of this Disney animation that's similar to Pixar, I kind of think of it like as like a 2000s on. Like I feel like Disney after 2000s was something different. I wouldn't put this in the same category as I would like the Lion King or Jungle Book, right? I'd be like, okay, that's the 2D classic animation one. But as far as this, like, I think it's right up there with the Moanas and the Zootopias. It doesn't feel like a
Yeah.
step down or anything. So, yeah, a 9 out of 10 for me. Really enjoyed it. Can't wait to watch it again. If you stuck through this whole thing, there's always little scenes and whatnot, little conversations we didn't shout out. I would definitely say go watch this, and I think you'll enjoy it. Whether if even if you don't like this type of genre, which I don't even think it's like a distinct blanket genre, there is like a mystical fantasy like samurai one, but it's not like some like horror where it's like, oh, if you don't like horror, don't like this. Like I feel like there's something
Yeah.
in here for everybody for the most part that you'll at least enjoy it. I don't think you could watch this movie and be like, I absolutely despise this movie. And if you do, then please let me know why. What is despisable in this movie? Like unless you just have a thing of like you hate dragons, but that's all I could think of. So what about you,
Yeah.
sir?
Yeah, so I remembered my note. I was looking
See,
in my
that's why we do
pros.
it.
This was a con I had actually. So
Oh.
like throughout the movie, I thought all the visuals were amazing. All the animation was so good. However, when she was like in the desert and there was certain scenes other than when they're in the desert. I think it was when they were like in the city of Fang.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I felt like the sun was like just very like it was like when you're playing a video game and you just have the brightness like cranked. So there's like a
Yeah.
lot of moments like it's like my face right now, like it's just it was like so bright on like one spot of them, and I felt like it easily could have been fixed. It was just like just notched down a couple times, or jeez, brought down a couple notches, but
Mm-hmm.
and like every shot that they had of like the sun itself, it just seemed like very orange in my opinion. Again, maybe they're trying to go for like a very like mystical feel, and
Mm-hmm.
in that sense, like they did a really good job for the most part in my opinion, but like when they were really like beaming the sun on the characters, I felt like it was just a little too bright. Again, it's very nitpicky, but like I
Yeah.
already mentioned, I'm pretty nitpicky when it comes to animation. I have very specific taste, but overall I thought it was very like visually pleasing, and
Mm-hmm.
just such a fun movie to watch. And like you already said, like I can't wait to rewatch this one. I actually didn't know that premium access gives you the whole, like you
Mm-hmm.
just have it
You just
now. It's
have it
not
now. Yeah, it's
it's not
not a
like a
rental.
48-hour
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, that's awesome because I'm definitely gonna rewatch this one again. I'm doing my episode with Katie next week, and I'll probably rewatch this before then, and
Mm-hmm.
I won't be regretting it. Like it's so fun. I felt, again, I had a little like some minor issues with the plot and stuff, but overall, like I feel like the world that they gave me was just so it was. I just had so much fun with it, and that's like the main reason why I'm gonna want to rewatch this because I just want to jump back into this world,
Yeah. Yeah.
and with the dragons and everything, it's just so good.
My joke was when they when they brought back all the dragons and they're all run up and everything like that in the sky and they're all celebrating. I said, Emily, what if this just took a dark turn where the dragons just looked upon the humans and decided, oh, thank you for setting us free, and then they just destroyed everyone, like just like they're all
Their eyes
coming
go
down.
red and it's like laser beams.
Yeah, that's what went in my mind when they're just watching. They're like, the dragons, and then just if they would have just all turned on them on a dime and just destroyed everyone, like
Yeah.
you were better off before. But obviously, it luckily didn't go that route. That would have been a pretty dark ending with the girls watching that.
Yeah, that's the alternative ending.
Yeah, no, you can't do that. They got to be happy and just jump in the sky and everything like that. And yeah, constantly had to be reminded about Emily of like, well, there's different dragons. Because at one point when Raya and the dragon were just being chased, I'm like, why didn't she just fucking fly her out of there? She's a dragon. And she's like, well, it's not how they all work in cultures. It's like, I guess these things are fucking
Yeah.
made up though, but fair enough. She learns how to like walk on the sky and like flies in a sense, right? Where it's
Yeah.
not flying, it's
Jumps on like
gliding.
the rain, I think they're doing because
Yeah, yeah, it's gliding
they
with style.
yeah, they really uh were just they kept beating on that note of being like the dragons are the reason for water. So
Water, yeah,
I thought they did a good job at just tying like that relevance to it.
yeah.
And overall, like Sisu looked gorgeous, but man, all the other dragons, they were so like cool in their
Mm-hmm.
design. The main one, I forget his name. It's like Pangu, I think his name was, like,
Her big brother or
yeah,
whatever it
her big
was.
brother.
Yeah.
He was like green. I thought he looked so
Mm.
cool, and I just loved all of the like the animation in regards to the dragons specifically, and like when she was flying, like jumping on the water. I thought that was really cool, and
Mm.
it just made like their bodies like look really unique, the way it was bouncing and stuff like that, because it is very different from your, like, when you think of a dragon, you think of like the European version, castles and like breathing fire and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But
Smog.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, I'm gonna rate this one 9 out of 10, same as you.
Mm.
I absolutely love the world that they gave us and stuff like that, but because of those like issues I had with the slightly too brightness on certain spots, as well as how we just got going on the adventure, I thought it could have just been done a little bit better. I mean, the the version that you pitched, like, I felt like that would just fix all my issues right then and there, but unfortunately we didn't get that. But
No, one day I'll be in there, and then they'll be like, "Who are
release the
you?"
snail cut,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Who are you? Oh, I'm from GeekVerse podcast. Oh, right, we hate you guys. Can you please leave? Okay. And the other thing I guess I didn't shout out to either that I think, like, I guess the standout would be like Kelly Marie Tran as Raya, but like Raya, I think they all did a great job. Like everybody did a great
Yeah.
job as far as voice cast. I liked them all. Like you said, even if Aquafina, there was like some lines I didn't like, it was not her delivery of them all. So I thought they did a good job. I think, like I said, Kelly Marie Tran especially did a good job of giving life to that character. But yeah, they all work. Like I love when Benedict Wong does like the graspy, rowdy sort of voice he's done in the past. And but yeah, I think they all did a good job. So no cons or anything there. I guess no one was like a wow, but like I think everyone did good.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. The voice acting was phenomenal, I thought. I mean, at first I was just loving what I would like, the line deliverance I was getting from Raya,
Mm-hmm.
and especially because she has a lot of emotional stuff going on early on in this film, so
Yeah.
you kind of get to see that. But like like we were already talking about, with each character having their own sort of emotional moment or just their own character building moment. Time to wake up.
No, time to
uh,
switch over the dryer.
oh, okay. um, yeah. So I thought they, like, it wasn't just one person just being all rough and tough in their voice. Like, they all had to like switch tones
Yeah.
throughout this movie, and they did a really good job with that, and I really appreciated it.
Yeah, and I forgot one joke to shout, but I like at the beginning when they were telling the stories, and she's like, "Oh, and to her dad, she's like, oh, we're gonna need pitchforks and arrows with fire and all this stuff." And he's like, "Oh, all we need is this," and then he just is making the soup and everything like that, and she's just like, and then I love to like she's so concerned and she's so untrusting that she won't eat food from other people, so she has a gross jerky that even the dragon's like, "Yeah, I'm really hungry. Oh, I got the jerky." Like, well, I'm not that hungry, so.
Yeah, they call back to that joke. I'm really glad that you brought up the food though, because that was something I forgot to mention. I love when it happens a lot in Studio Ghibli movies, but like when they do food in movies like this or in anime or something like that, and they just make it look so delicious. There
Food
is
porn.
food porn,
Yeah,
definitely,
yeah,
and I got that in this movie when they showed off.
yeah.
They did like a close up of the soup with the spices and everything in it. I'm like, I want to taste that so bad. Like, it just looks
Oh
so
yeah.
good.
I was like, I don't even like half the stuff in here, but I want it.
Yeah, they did a really good job at just uh yeah, the food stuff, and then I was thinking of the characters again. It's just such
Yeah.
a fun world that they gave us.
Hmm. Yeah, like I said, I hope one day we see more, even if it's just adventures in that world, like they're kind of doing now with Princess and the Frog and other things
Yeah.
with Disney. Of like, at some point they always need more IP, so just do it, and I'll be there for it. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you've seen this movie, let us know whether it's on Twitter or Facebook what you thought about it. Thank you very much for tuning in this review. When you hear from us next, which this week we got a whole bunch of cast popping off, it'll not be boring.
Goodbye.